So we start maybe with this, with aquaculture. I don't know if Raffaele, you want to join and maybe show a little bit what you discuss. I give you the floor and the mic. Maybe you can use this one so you can stay.
Thanks, Matteo. Okay, yes, I co-facilitated with Matteo this working group. Thanks to the colleagues. I mean, it was very fruitful discussion. As you see, this is just the first part of the discussion where we just put on the table the main ideas. You know, ideas were flowing. So we could have, I think, fill in 3-4 pages more. So, but we just stop here. And then after lunch, we did what it was the real effort, so to say, which was to narrow down a little bit our choice. I would like just to tell you how we did it. We found keywords in the first part. So rather to give grades, let's say, to the different topics, we discussed which are the keywords in the first part of the discussion. And we try to translate this into ideas. For example, just to give you an idea about the first topic that we choose was... it was just to have in mind this conceptual framework. So to look at the value chain as, let's say, final beneficiary, the aquaculture value chain, and to arrive to sustainability through innovation that can trigger diversification. So the diversification was the topic of the idea that we selected. And we did the same for the other two ideas. Of course, we are not going to go through this. And what it was good is that we outline, we could not enter into details. All these that you see listed are tasks, even if the way in which they are writing, they may seem they're not, but they are tasks. And each task should be developed through a specific tool. It can be trainings, publication, whatever. The final aim is to present, to write a proposal that can be submitted under the cost action. So this is, sorry, I didn't say this at the beginning, but I said the assumption is to reason how to put together a proposal to be submitted under the cost action. Maybe not in this, in the next deadline, which is October, too soon, but maybe to reflect if we can put together our skill, our knowledge, our organization to present the following window, which will be supposedly at the beginning of 2023. I don't want to take too much time, otherwise it's... So thanks again to my colleagues. The next steps, which are very practical. I mean, the idea is to create a cost action working group, and that will be a large, let's say, along other organizations that will show interest to join us. And we will create a virtual working group because, of course, it's a collective exercise. So the proposal is supposed to be written with many hands. And so I think it's a good start. It's a good result considering the limited time that we had. I think it was a good exercise.
Thanks a lot. Maybe you can already hand the microphone to Marta if you want to join. So just to remind that this was a process building on a technical group of aquaculture. So a lot of the people attending were part of that technical group. And and then Raffaele is here on behalf of the Italian Fisheries Association that might be interested in leading this. But then second topic, tourism, and please, Marta.
Yes. So sustainable tourism ended up being a Spanish table. So we went into talking to Spanish, and as we talk very fast, we also work a lot. So we have we have many other options, but these were the most promising ones, or the ones that we could deliver faster. So we had an option, one idea that came from Marie from CPMR, which is a potential project idea that is looking at capitalizing what they did in a previous project called WestMED. And option 2, it came from Spain, from the cluster, Maritime cluster of Andalusia, and also a fisherman woman that also had this idea, and it's the creation of a Mediterranean network of maritime tourism destinations. And option 3 came from IUCN partner and also the meat network, MEET network, and it's an idea of creating business opportunities, awareness from marine protected areas. So we ended up developing the first two, and the one on capitalizing the WestMED project. What they would like to do is what is called MED-NSTO. It's Network of Sustainable Tourism Observatory. They would like to create an observatory where they are, it will serve as a knowledge center where data, tools, and governance will be observed so as to advance with the new information on tourism. So they are quite advanced on what they want to do. So we took the time to see what it could be missing and what partners they could be missing, because they are aiming to submit for the forthcoming Interreg Euromed with deadline 27th of October. So they already started working and they will keep working towards this deadline. They are going to submit for the testing projects. And what they will do is have some tourism data. So we thought about gathering, how to gather it, from where, what are you going to do with it, how you're going to analyze it, how are you going to manage that data, what tools are you going to use, then what is that data going to be used for, the added value to creation of new applications, etc. Then how are you going to deal with the governance? Who is giving you the data who is giving you the data and who is getting the added value of the data that you will be working with. They are going to work with the WestMed partners, but they need extra partners, the one in green, for covering these other areas, and we suggested a few of them, and they are going to submit it for Interreg. So this is the future of this project idea. And the other project idea is the one that came from our fisher woman. So we thought as a fish net, and we thought, okay, in this fish net, we had an experience. So we have a tourism experience, in this case, a maritime tourism experience that has been successful and has been done by this fisher woman. And we would like to extrapolate it to other areas. So what falls in this fish net is the project, and then it is replicated in other areas. So what falls in this fishnet is a fisherman or a fisherwoman that wants to diversify their activity. So they are doing turismo marinero, so they are going to do maritime tourism. With that, previous experience, previous to going into the boat, they provide some local knowledge, fisheries and maritime culture, with what they call Maritime Senses Museum. They create a museum where they explain what the fishermen knowledge is, the work they do, etc. So people, before they go in the boat, they already gain some knowledge. With that, you work with virtual reality. If you didn't get the chance to have the experience of what they could get, Javier is here with the virtual reality glasses and have a glimpse of what they could get. They also get education material, and also this can be seen as an inclusiveness point, because some people might not be able to go into the trip, but they still get the experience and the senses. So the awareness raising, sensibilization, that would be there. Then you go on the trip being one day a fisherman or woman in their lives, and there you develop blue skills, reskilling, upskilling, education, women, gender, ocean literacy, and different sources of income. And then when you come back off the trip, you see the fishmongers or the selling fish, and there you have the awareness of the people towards the environment, the economy, but also a sense of ownership from the people that have experienced that experience, and also an awareness of the carbon footprint, because you can again put the VR goggles and sense how your life could be with different food options, etc., and what is the carbon footprint of these options. Then you can also have the experience of culture and traditions by looking at the fish nets, and also different cooking shows of the species that you have seen in your trip. And this is a source of new business plans that could arise in different areas. So this is we thought, okay, this is not a tourism just project. We want to embed it in something that is local development. So for embedding it in local development, we saw, okay, how many people are we impacting? And we put one person in each, but usually after one person is more. So at least these green people is the ones that will be impacted. So you can really see the local development and the jobs creation that this potential idea could come. The replication that we could go into the Mediterranean, and what are the different strategies, European strategies and directives that this idea could cover, which are quite a few. And we don't have a funding opportunity for this one. We have to see how to embed it maybe in the forthcoming Interreg as a local development activity or something on tourism, but we will definitely help this project idea to be developed. And the third one, we couldn't develop it, but we will have a virtual meeting with them and try to develop it. Thank you.
Thanks to you. So So this is an area where we don't have technical group, etc., but we've been following a lot. Actually, the Maltese National Hub also was instrumental in leading with many initiatives in this area. Then I will go to ports and transport, so maybe Italian National Hub. I ask you all to be a bit brief because I think the translator at some point might need to stop.
Yeah, I spare you my chicken-like handwriting, so I will basically read from my
We move from fast talking to chicken writing.
Yes, we have developed something like 6 ideas, but that we are gathering in 3. The characteristics of our, let's say, hackathon is that whatever we have, of course, developed is a crossing. What?
Vai.
Che c'è? Mi devo spostare?
No, devi spostare il...
Quindi?
Mettiti un po' più in qua. Sì.
Okay. Is somehow crossing the other topics like, of course, aquaculture, like tourism, and like blue skis mostly. We have developed more related with tourism, the Catalan cluster of maritime operators, especially in marinas and leisure boating. They propose to create a network of marinas specialized in traditional sailing on typical local boats, according to the tradition of the territory, and which are still manufactured by handcrafters. And with all related services and manufacturing at artisanal level. This was, of course, gathering quite an interest, and let me also mention Circolo Velico Ventotene, who has already implemented something similar also in Tunisia in the past years, and so which is gathering also on these ideas. We, as a second, let's say, group of ideas, we are speaking of a common label of a network of marinas regarding the sustainable services that marinas are offering in order to create, let's say, a network at a Mediterranean level. And this is, in practice, what came up from Boats & Go as a startup who has realized a system for, let's say, categorizing such services and such related to the single marinas, and making this quite strongly available for the users and the perceivable. This is in particular an effort which needs a strong effort in going to characterize what is meant by smaller ports, and whose contribution of Corilla of Venice Lagoon will probably help us in doing this, and of course by category of sectors, so fishery, ports, marinas, smaller shipping ports, and so on. One particular application of this we are going to relate to the waste reception facilities, because establishing a consortium among smaller ports or cruise ports who are offering complementary waste reception facilities are reinforcing a lot the cruise offers and also the ferry boat offer because, of course, cruise operators and ferry boat operators are almost forced to choose those destinations who are able to receive certain fractions of waste. And this is already something which has been implemented under Interreg Baltic, where a network of ports is applying also the same tariff system for waste reception facilities, and that could be very much useful for the Mediterranean, at least in such a context. The last one is, as I was also mentioning this morning, the idea of dedicating some ports to the fishery activities in terms of infrastructure and related services, which could imply refrigeration, storage, processing, ice making, desalination, specialized logistics, and which could become also a hub for the aquaculture supply chain who avails on the same facilities. Consider that, for instance, a country like Italy is attracting aquaculture investments for its central position in the Mediterranean, so more for logistics than sometimes for its aquaculture vocation. And this is an element that at southern shore countries could become absolutely strategic. These are the three main ones. We shall also have a project, or at least an idea on a digitization of smaller ports for shipping, especially if tailored on some niche sectors who may need dedicated infrastructure and services. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leo. It's an important area for the whole Mediterranean, and maybe some Interreg or EMFF project might help that we will discuss. Then I move maybe on our discussion on cluster. If Commandant Ezzedine, si vous voulez nous joindre. So this is, the discussion was more really on a process and a vision within which there are a few projects really, but I leave Commandant to explain briefly, please.
Oui, merci Matteo. Partons du principe que les classières maritimes ont un rôle très important pour le développement de l'économie bleue, quelle que soit régionale ou internationale ou locale. Alors on a tracé 3 étapes, une stratégie, on a tracé une stratégie avec l'UPM, avec WestMed, avec DJ Mari. On était ensemble pour tracer une stratégie qui va être praticable pour l'avenir. Et à partir du moment où le côté sud de la Méditerranée, on n'a pas de cluster actuellement que la Tunisie, la Mauritanie, ils ont fait pour la fin 2022 qu'ils vont installer leur cluster maritime, la Mauritanie. On essaiera aussi pour en 2023, début 2023, c'est le Maroc qui va instaurer son cluster maritime. On a incité aussi pour l'Algérie aussi. On a parlé avec les membres qui sont présents de l'Algérie, de nos amis algériens, pour tracer dès maintenant et établir un cluster maritime algérien, et aussi pour nos voisins, aussi les Libyens, et aussi pour les Maltais qui n'ont pas encore un cluster maritime. Mais puisque nous sommes actuellement à Malte, nous incitons nos amis maltais à ce qu'ils fassent le plus tôt possible pour créer l'alliance des clusters maritimes entre le sud et le nord, avec les 5 pays, Portugal, Espagne, France, Italie et puis Malte. Et comme ça, on aura l'alliance des clusters maritimes méditerranéens entre le nord et le sud. Mais ça, c'est dans le cadre WestMed. Mais on a projeté aussi, en tant que deuxième étape, pour passer à l'est de la Méditerranée et d'instaurer l'Égypte, la Jordanie et la Grèce, qui déjà, ils ont entamé la Grèce et la Jordanie, mais on va discuter aussi avec l'Égypte, et comme ça, on aura une alliance des clusters maritimes, quel que soit ouest, est, sud, nord, pour passer en fin de compte à une alliance. La Tunisie aussi, le cluster maritime tunisien va soutenir et supporter aussi nos amis des clusters maritimes pour instaurer et établir le cluster maritime dans les pays du Maghreb arabe. Nous sommes engagés pour ça et nous avons donné notre parole. Nous avons envoyé les statuts et les règlements intérieurs pour s'inspirer des classeurs maritimes tunisiens et nous sommes là pour ça. Et puis, pour arriver en troisième stade, au classeur maritime maghrébin en premier lieu, pour réunir les 5 pays du Maghreb arabe. Et après, on passera à moyen terme et on va marcher en parallèle, ce qu'on a dit avec l'UPM et WestMed. On va travailler en parallèle pour instaurer le sommet africain sur l'économie bleue, qui va être une alliance entre le continent africain et le continent européen. Et ça, c'est le but de créer ces alliances-là et pour développer l'économie bleue dans notre mer, la plus ancienne d'ailleurs, c'est la Méditerranée, et puis l'alliance entre le continent africain et le continent européen. Et merci.
Thank you very much, Commandant. Sounded ambitious, but in fact, I think we grow slowly getting there. The commitment of Mauritania is actually very strong, and there might be instrument to support project that can help cluster uptaking in the WestMed, but also the idea is that we use maybe Interreg Next future funding to really create a platform for supporting the dialogue across the Med and supporting South-South cooperation toward cluster. So we had quite a few concrete ideas in that. So thanks for this. I need to cut short. So I moved to the blue skills and literacy. So maybe Steph, National Hub from Malta, you can tell something about it. I understood you either stay here or there, but not in front of the beamer.
Here is good?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, so we had a very intensive discussion as well. We came up with 4 main project ideas, quite diversified in themselves, but quite a lot of interest in terms of the stakeholders which were around the group for all the 4 ideas. Basically, to split them up, we had one of the ideas focuses on the CEU, which is already an existing project across Europe, where there is the collaboration of universities, but they are universities basically from European countries. It's an established project. It's already going into the second phase, and we think that there's definitely an opportunity which could potentially exist in terms of getting Southern partners involved in with the universities, which could be a bit of a 2-pronged approach, because there could be universities from the Southern partners who could be involved within the project itself. But in addition to that, part of the project will also involve the development of courses which will focus specifically on the blue economy. And therefore, there's definitely scope in terms of having students coming from Southern universities, from Southern partner universities, actually engaging in these courses, possibly through the development of specific funding opportunities such as Erasmus. So that is one of the project ideas that we had, but this focused more kind of intently on higher level skills, university, master's level, and obviously the blue economy is not made up solely of those type of skills, and therefore the second project idea focuses more on the development of skills for the traditional sectors and for the artisanal sectors, for example, such as fishing. Whereby the emphasis should be on not only the development of skills, because obviously the skills are there, but not necessarily recognize the skills. So there's definitely the opportunity in terms of certifying the skills which already exist as well, identifying the gaps which exist, because often there's a level of illiteratism as well within certain areas, and therefore developing skills in that regard. But not only that, so there were also 2 other aspects to it. First of all, diversification, so the importance of diversification, for example, fisheries and tourism, so making sure that even fishermen have maybe softer skills, communication skills, which feed into other sectors, and possibly developing synergies with other sectors as well. So that was definitely another area. So that was we also focused as well on digitalization, the digitalization of skills focusing on digitalization even within these traditional sectors, particularly if within the context of the EU as well, we want to reach targets which have been established. The third one is another important one, so it focuses more on once well, obviously our group focused on blue skills, but the idea was once we identify, whether it's at a national level or at a regional level, you have identified those skills gaps, there's often a shortage of what to do with those skills gaps, how to address them. So the idea is actually came from our Spanish partners who are involved in our group, where the idea is to develop a platform whereby basically once you establish what these your gaps are, you have a platform which is made up of stakeholders from government, from private, so from businesses as well as from universities, which can basically address these skills gaps, basically. The idea, however, is not only to address these needs and these skills gaps, but also to tap into and to identify opportunities which exist in this regard. And this could be done at a level of a Western Mediterranean region, but not only at a WestMed region, and it can be also done in other regions with the Atlantic, for example, with the Black Sea. So there's definitely the idea of having a wider platform, possibly also with the collaboration, for example, of the Union for the Mediterranean. So that was another idea. And the fourth one, which we had, is on ocean literacy, whereby the concept of ocean literacy, we took it from a two-side perspective. There's obviously the concept of ocean literacy at the lower level in terms of youths and making them understand and tying that in with blue skills. And there's obviously already a number of projects which have been undertaken in that regard, and where could be the capitalization of results and extending them forward. But there's also the concept of taking ocean literacy as well to businesses in order to make sure that they kind of develop a corporate social responsibility. They become much more aware of ocean literacy and take on the issue of corporate social responsibility. In terms of ocean literacy for the youths, we obviously said it's important to identify a specific theme which is common across all countries, for example, such as, for example, marine litter, and making sure that, again, we engage in specific areas where there's obviously the need for it. So there's digitalization, the importance of artificial intelligence, for example, where we actually saw the use of for example, the virtual goggles, teaching students through artificial intelligence, for example, and digitalization, all about the importance of ocean literacy. And that basically is another project which we considered.
Thank you very much. Also, thanks to touch upon the cooperation and synergies across sea basins. Maybe I take this opportunity to remind that on the 7th of July, there is a dedicated event of synergies organized by DG Mare and Sinea. So all the sea basin representatives will be there. So just for you to remind that. And then I understood we have a very fruitful discussion on MSP. Fred, you're the last but not least guy for today. Sorry for that. I leave you the floor, and thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So maybe just to switch off, I will do it in French. Take the advantage of the interpretations. Tout d'abord, merci. Je tiens d'abord à remercier les contributeurs à cet atelier qui était différent des autres au sens où nous avons dû réfléchir à comment engager une discussion sur la planification des espaces maritimes sur WestMed. C'est quand même il y a des drivers importants. L'Union pour la Méditerranée, Alessandra nous l'a rappelé, Manuel aussi. Donc on voit bien que le MSP a de nombreuses implications, de nombreux intérêts de la part de tous les pays de WestMed, donc pour pouvoir s'y lancer. Donc le groupe que nous avions a confirmé l'intérêt de constituer un groupe d'experts. Alors, sa forme reste à définir, et on en reparlera certainement demain lors du comité directeur. Le but étant de partager les expériences, les pratiques du MSP dans la région WestMed, car il y a beaucoup d'initiatives, beaucoup de projets qui sont d'ores et déjà engagés sur la planification. Certains pays en ont déjà parlé ce matin. Et donc une volonté de partager ce qui est fait par chacun. Le but étant de voir en quelle mesure la planification et le MSP peut contribuer au bon état écologique, comment il peut bien évidemment soutenir une économie bleue durable. Alors, il faut aussi qu'on ait des dimensions soutenables d'action, donc peut-être pas traiter tous les secteurs, on en a bien parlé, peut-être faire des focus sur des secteurs d'intérêt pour l'ensemble des pays de la Méditerranée occidentale, le tourisme, on en a parlé, peut-être les énergies marines renouvelables, dont l'éolien flottant, pour avoir des sujets qui soient d'intérêt pour l'ensemble des pays de WestMed, afin aussi de partager les pratiques, les écarts et les besoins, qu'ils soient en données, en capacité et en outils, et je dirais du local jusqu'au bassin. Parce que la problématique qu'on a pu bien identifier pendant tous nos échanges, c'est que oui, WestMed c'est un niveau, mais il faut que l'on travaille du local à l'échelle du bassin et de voir en quelle mesure tous les acteurs vont pouvoir avoir le bénéfice de cet outil et de passer donc du bassin au national, au local. Alors, ma présentation, ok. Donc les objectifs de ce groupe seraient, mais bon, ça reste à confirmer, hein, parce que je pense qu'il y aura un processus de validation qui va se faire certainement à travers le comité directeur de WestMed sur le sujet, c'est de veiller à bien assurer le transfert de la connaissance, de la technique, de la science vers le decision maker, vers les décideurs, parce que le MSP est un outil d'abord à la destination des décideurs, hein. La communauté scientifique et technique est là, donc le groupe aura cette capacité et veillera à assurer cette fonction de transfert. De faire le lien avec les actions nationales et locales. Donc quand je parle de local et de national, c'est à la fois les planifications pour les États membres, les exercices de planification pour les non-États membres, que vous l'avez d'ores et déjà engagés, la gestion intégrée des zones côtières, qui sont aussi des actions qui sont peut-être plus locales et qui nous permet aussi de faire le lien avec la Convention de Barcelone en tant que telle. Et ainsi voir en quelle mesure ce groupe pourra contribuer à la constitution du développement d'une communauté de pratiques, des pratiques pour le MSP dans le but d'une économie bleue durable. Donc je pense que la Community of Practice, c'est quelque chose qui commence aussi à se développer et nous avons pu noter aujourd'hui qu'il y a un nouvel appel d'offres qui a été lancé par la Commission avec la logique d'un Blue Forum qui viendra à soutenir potentiellement cette problématique-là. Donc l'idée, c'est bien de ne pas créer de la redondance, mais voir comment on peut assurer des synergies, des liens entre les niveaux, avec une ambition d'une intégration verticale, donc du bassin, du national au local, pas que du descendant, mais aussi du bottom-up, c'est-à-dire valoriser les expériences notamment nos amis du Sud, parce qu'ils ont des choses à partager, peut-être des difficultés qu'ils veulent aussi voir, trouver des solutions avec les autres acteurs. L'idée de ce groupe, mais ça ne reste que du brainstorming qu'on a eu sur nos sofas là-bas, c'était vraiment d'avoir un groupe qui ne soit pas limité aux acteurs au pays de WestMed, hein, bien évidemment les observateurs qui sont d'ores et déjà membres du comité directeur pour en être, bien évidemment, il faut qu'on fasse cette relation. Les actions menées par l'Union pour la Méditerranée et sa feuille de route doivent être intégrés, ce qui est fait par l'UNEMA doit être intégré, ce qui est fait par UECR doit aussi certainement être intégré. On ne va pas venir à répliquer, à tout absorber, mais il faut qu'on fasse ces ponts entre ces différents forums qui échangent dans un objectif de développement de la capacité du MSP à travers ce groupe. Donc c'est un peu une ambition un peu élevée, mais sur laquelle il va falloir qu'on travaille. Alors, donc les prochaines étapes, parce qu'au-delà de ces constats, donc, on pourrait envisager de se doter, de travailler sur la définition d'une feuille de route qui serait liée à cette mise en œuvre du MSP à l'échelle de la Méditerranée occidentale. Et l'idée, c'est peut-être de capitaliser ou prendre le bénéfice d'un atelier qui va se tenir à Tunis. Alors, je ne sais plus exactement si c'est le 26 ou le 27 septembre, dans le cadre... 28 et 29 septembre, dans le cadre du projet MSP-MED, où le projet MSP-MED a lui-même engagé une action d'une définition d'une feuille de route sur le MSP. Alors MSP, alors je ne sais pas exactement, je n'ai pas eu tout le détail, mais l'idée c'est de venir à confirmer et peut-être consolider nos idées qu'on a pu avoir pendant cette session à Tunis, afin ensuite de proposer peut-être cette feuille de route et des termes de référence de ce groupe qui, à notre avis, à la fin de nos discussions, nécessitera certainement un certain niveau de formalisation de la participation, notamment pour assurer l'engagement à un mandat de représentants nationaux, hein, parce qu'il faut bien qu'on assure cette liaison avec les acteurs nationaux et locaux, notamment pour les pays du Sud, pour qu'un prochain comité directeur de WestMed, peut-être celui qui sera à l'automne, que l'on puisse avoir quelque part un sorte de kick-off de ce groupe qui viendra donc à soutenir le MSP dans le cadre de WestMed. Donc voilà, alors on ne pensait pas arriver peut-être jusque-là. On ne sait pas si c'est jouable, si c'est faisable, mais en le tournant dans tous les sens entre nous, on se dit qu'il y a peut-être quelque chose à faire, mais en passant peut-être par la case MSP Med et cette étape de Tunis, il y a peut-être une manière de confirmer et d'avoir l'adhésion d'au-delà de très bons participants qu'on a pu avoir pendant notre session. Je vous remercie.
Okay, so thank you very much, Fred. Thank you very much, Matteo, for coordinating this, and thank you very much for all the team and the coordinators, our national hubs, and Mancini and Commandant Ezzedine for having the courtesy of helping us in this effort. Okay, so it's time to close now this plenary session 2. And I'm going to now give the floor for the final remarks. We're going to have the co-presidency of Malta. Need to say, if you look at your agendas, that we had foreseen the participation of the representatives of Libya, who have landed successfully in Malta. They're in the country, but unfortunately cannot be with us now just for this. So apologies for this, but they will certainly be at the steering committee meeting tomorrow. And this is the very last point that I wanted to make. Obviously, this is the start of a journey. All these ideas are going to be, let's put it this way, formally presented tomorrow to the main governance institution of the WestMed, which is the steering committee. So all the member states and partner countries are going to learn about your project ideas, are going to endorse them, and most likely they're going to give us a mandate to support you in taking these ideas to the next level. So we can come up with a nice partnership suitable to access EU funding or multilateral funding. So I think that you will hear from us, and that's it. So thank you very much, because you've been the main actors for today's meeting. So that's it from my side, and the floor goes to our host in Malta. Yeah?
Thank you, Javier, and thank you all for your active participation today. Also, the members who have joined in online, and for the very interesting ideas and contributions you have put forward. Clearly, it has been a good learning experience to us all. And it was also clear that an equitable blue economy is a sustainable one, especially for the millions of people who depend on marine resources for their livelihoods. This is why a holistic approach to our seas is critical. The WestMED Initiative, steered by the guidance of the European Commission and the Union for the Mediterranean, fully embodies this element, and is primarily built on the notion of collaboration amongst partner countries. Collaboration between all stakeholders is the key of its success. Further cooperation is required, along with further increased investments to provide fiscal injections to stimulate blue growth. Going forward, we need to use our ingenuity to mobilize governments and stakeholders across the region, facilitating access to financing opportunities and finding project partners. Effective integrated policy development aimed towards finding these synergies and promoting sustainable growth will contribute towards establishing the certainty required to attract investment. This requires turning better information into knowledge, and knowledge into public awareness about the threats and potential solutions a sustainable blue economy can offer. Access to better knowledge will help to comprehend the sea's influence on us and our influence on the seas. And as mentioned earlier today, To develop and sustain a blue economy, we need to place the people at the center of our response. A bottom-up approach is key to defining the future of the WestMED Initiative. We look forward to continue building on the excellent work carried so far through the development of concrete measures and mechanisms to champion the blue economy vision in the Mediterranean through an integrated approach that connects the challenges and opportunities of this region. Finally, on behalf of the Libyan Maltese Co-Presidency, I would like to thank all the participants here today and the assistant mechanism for their excellent work and help us organizing this conference. And once again, I thank you all for your participation. Thank you very much.
Okay, many thanks. First of all, to the national coordinators from Malta, from hosting this event, and also to the National Hub, as I said at the beginning of this session, and all the moderators. I've seen that they have done a very good job. I said at the beginning this morning that I hoped that this will be successful discussions, and I think that after these panels, we can assure that there will be an important, relevant, and interesting follow-up. I think that we all have shown how complementarity is important, complementarity between the topics. This morning we were talking about the different national events and how these topics, the different approaches, were important to start the discussions today. But also complementarity, I will say, among the different actors, players, stakeholders. It's important to keep not only the public authorities at different level, but also how important are the academia, the researchers, the businesses, the SMEs, and the civil society. I think that the work that has been in all of the sessions of the parallel labs has been diversification. So geopolitics and the situation, the current situation, forced to reinvent the way that we face the challenges, and we need to diversify also our blue economy, being more sustainable, but also being more creative or innovative, if I can say. So it's also, as I told at the beginning, and now it's even more tangible, through the projects that we achieve not only the policy objectives, but also the priorities of the innovation strategies, and the priorities in this case, the 10 priorities and the 3 goals of the WestMED Initiative. I think that this is the real way of cooperation, and this is the real way, somehow like a soft diplomacy strategy or initiative to achieve the objectives of the policy. That's also important that some of the national coordinators were here, because it's for sure that tomorrow they will transmit some ideas and follow up, and they will take well note of the conclusions and their recommendations and suggestions coming from here. It's quite important to link, again, policy and projects. And we're here to discuss projects, but for sure we were here to develop help from coastal communities for a sustainable development of the coastal communities, of our businesses, of our SMEs, of our academia, but mainly for our people. So let's look forward to having the results of these projects. I hope that the upcoming events, when we will have a next competition or next awards of the project, we will see how this proposal presented today will be winner of these awards. And thank you all for your support, for your commitment, and for making more sustainable the Mediterranean and a welfare for the Mediterranean people. Last, I would like to take the opportunity, as I was said, that our colleague, our friend, the Commandant Kacem Ezzedine, wants to give a kind of recognition to the hosting of this meeting, of this hackathon, which is the national coordinator for Malta. So please come, because there will be, well, a kind of recognition, as I said, for this kind organization and kind host of the meeting.
Thank you.
So
thank you. Thank you. And this is a good opportunity today. We have the support of UPM, of WestMed. This is very honor for Tunisian Maritime Cluster. We are here to contribute to support all our friends in Malta, and to support all our friends in Algeria, in Morocco, in Mauritania, in Libya, and in Malta. This is opportunity today to constitute the Maritime Cluster of Malta. Is our neighbor in front of us, of Tunisia. And to announce also we have a project to make a joint venture with Spain, after Italy, after big Italy, and after France, and after Palmer Mediterranean. That's why you are here, and you have the honor to be there. This is my first vice president. There is a member of the Maritime Cluster of Tunisia with us. I salute all the members here, and the DG Mari also. And we, the Maritime Clusters in Mediterranean Sea is the focus of all projects in blue economy, and that's very important. And I salute for the co-presidents of Malta. This is the trophy of the Maritime Cluster of Tunisia. Thank you. Thank you for all. And please, you have.
Thank you very much. It's very kind of you to present us. We are truly honored. And it has truly been a joint effort, and we hope that together we can continue to build on the excellent work that has been carried so far. So thank you very much, and we...
Thank you for all. Thank you.